Film from 2011, named The Finish to Chabla. Spoilers ahead. Look out and fare thee well. One late night in Paris. Driss is driving his manager Philippe through the city. While pausing and traffic gets excessively exhausting, Driss brakes as far as possible and starts driving very quick, evading different vehicles and not thinking often about traffic signs. This makes the police pursue him, and Driss wagers €100 that he can lose them. However, in the wake of driving under an extension, the police get up to speed by ambushing them from the two sides. Driss doesn't look excessively stressed, however, and this time, he wagers €200 that he can get them an escort. The police make him leave the vehicle and he begins acting offendedly and letting them know Philippe can't move and he was taking him to the emergency clinic. The officials find confirmation of this when they track down the wheelchair in the truck, and while moving toward Philippe, they see him writhing, which is likewise a demonstration. Seeing as it's a crisis, the police pardon Driss for braking as far as possible and proposition themselves as escorts while heading to the medical clinic. To celebrate winning the bet, Driss plays September by Earth, Wind and Fire, and when they show up at their objective, he imparts a smoke to Philippe when the police are no more. Driss guarantees he'll deal with it and drives them away not long before the medical clinic staff could track down them. This companionship started quite a long time back. Philippe and his right-hand Mogul are holding meetings to track down another overseer for him. However, it isn't going excessively well, since all candidates have exceptionally standard or off-kilter replies to their inquiries' questions. In any case, they're unexpectedly astounded when Driss storms in, overlooking the reality it isn't his turn yet, in light of the fact that he just believes a few papers should be marked, saying they won't recruit him, so he can get the joblessness benefits. He's unpolished and a little impolite. In any event, hitting on Mogul, yet Philippe thinks that he is entertaining and requests that he return the following day for his marked papers. Driss returns to his home in a modest area and attempts to scrub down while all his little kin irritate him, just figuring out how to make it happen in time because of his sister Mina, who is somewhat more established than the others and more capable, while trusting that their mother will show up. He glances through the window and notification his sibling, a dama escaping a dubious vehicle. At the point when the kid enters the loft, he simply says he was at school and leaves again subsequent to snatching his sack, making Driss be much more certain that he's planning some mischief. At night, his mother shows up, and he gives him a Fabergé egg he took and lets her he's been away. Holiday know when she inquires. She is troubled to see him, however, in light of the fact that he vanished for a considerable length of time and never called, and presently he's appeared all of a sudden as though her house was a lodging, as she's totally finished with every one of his falsehoods, and she has different kids she needs to deal with. She throws him out and tells him not to return. Driss goes through the late evening, having a smoke and a few snacks, with some local companions. The following day, Driss returns to Philippe's home for his papers, and he's gotten by the servant Yvonne, who shows him around the spot, and he should figure out how to keep his legs animated, how to place him in the wheelchair, how to help him shower and put on something else. Things get abnormal when Driss finds he should put on him a few high stockings and, surprisingly, clean his butt after Philippe utilizes the washroom. Yet regardless of the amount he grumbles and says he will not do those tasks, he winds up tolerating them as an aspect of his responsibilities. Later at night, while he's partaking in a nibble on the rooftop, he's intruded on by Philippe's girl Elisa and her sweetheart Bastien, who are searching for a confidential spot to make out, and he kicks them both out in the wake of declining to share his lager. Driss rapidly becomes acclimated to the day-to-day everyday practice with Philippe. Regardless of whether at first he commits a few errors he gains from, such as giving the telephone to Philippe as opposed to putting it on his ear or failing to remember the child screen while having a shower. He likewise figures out how to sort out his mail in various envelopes, the vast majority of the letters he opens for Philippe, yet there's a progression of private ones he isn't permitted to check out. At the point when he finds a flyer advancing female escorts, he chooses to begin a document only for those as opposed to tossing them in the junk, as Philippe says. It's not all work in this new life, however. Driss actually makes a point to live it up. He continues to attempt to hit on Mogul without much of any result, and some of the time calls escorts to go along with him in bed. One morning, after Yvonne comes to his space to chasten him for being late, she discovers a few risky weapons in his sack. However, she doesn't remark on them yet. Driss's work today is to drive Philippe around. However, he won't place him in that frame of mind of a van as though he was freight. So all things considered, he takes him on one of the extravagant vehicles that don't see a lot of purpose. Philippe, who first thinks this isn't reasonable and says they ought to be practical, is before long finding out about a quicker, less exhausting ride, in spite of the fact that Yvonne actually objects. At the point when they attempt to leave the structure, there's a neighbor stopped at their entry, overlooking the sign on the entryway that says it's prohibited. Driss burns through no time and pursues the person, snatching him by the front of his shirt, and undermining him until he moves the vehicle. Yet again, Philippe is intrigued by his activities, yet Yvonne objects. The pair goes to a gallery, where Philippe is wanting to purchase a piece of fine art that Driss considers not worth the cash since it's simply a red smudge on the grounds. Thereafter, Philippe meets with a relative of his, who lets him know everybody is stressed over Driss since he can be fierce. He's likewise found he has a lawbreaker record, yet Philippe couldn't care less. He values Driss on the grounds that he doesn't feel sorry for him and wouldn't fret messed around with him. After one more bombed endeavor at hitting on Magali, Driss's supper with Yvonne in the kitchen while standing by listening to Philippe direct a letter to Magali. Guaranteeing it's a confidential discussion, Yvonne switches off the child screen and continues to make sense of what's happening. Philippe is friends through correspondence with a lady called Eleanor. Those are the letters he didn't allow Driss to open. In any case, he's never met Eleanor face to face. Their relationship is simply epistolaire. Talking about affection, Driss prods Yvonne for the looks the nursery worker gives her all the time prior to hitting the sack. He's attempting to rest when he hears a few peculiar sounds coming from the child screen. Philippe is experiencing difficulty relaxing, not being fit to overlook him regardless of whether